Steph, Kurt just talked about how good the karma is with the team right now, how good the feelings are, the vibe is. Do you agree with that? And if you do, can you elaborate? What's the feeling amongst the players right now?
I think just in terms of optimism and confidence in who we are and what we can do any given night, you have to maintain that. You have to believe it. I think we do. It comes down to one game, and then hopefully more. But we understand what it's like in this type of environment. A must-win scenario. The history of last year with Sacramento, so just the vibes are go win a basketball game, and we know we can do that. You got to go, obviously, prove it and execute it. A lot of mental focus today, and this last month really. I know we've had a couple letdowns, but overall we've been playing really well, trending in the right direction. Our defense has turned the corner, and we've been able to sustain that. So all those things point to, can we just do it for 48 minutes, and we'll see tomorrow.
I know everybody mentions the pregame speech last year, but just what do you remember about that day, Game 7 last year, just how you were feeling waking up, the actual game, the atmosphere, and everything kind of around it?
It was a sense of urgency, obviously, just understanding we were in pretty good shape coming back from Sacramento winning Game 5. And they took it to us in Game 6, and we got embarrassed on our home floor. And it's a matter of how you respond at that point. And just an understanding of whatever it took to bring the right energy back to that Game 7 performance. Everybody talks about my numbers, but everybody was engaged and locked in, playing physical, playing with desperation. And we're going to have that same type of mentality tomorrow. So it's kind of ironic, just everything that was built up to that Game 7. This is technically a Game 7 type environment in the same building, so we got to do it again.
Steph, 2 questions for you. Going back to what Tim asked, Steve was talking about how he believes in basketball karma, and you go about things the right way, and you kind of put the effort in the right places, the karma will come back to you. He said you guys didn't have that last year. I guess, do you believe in that same kind of basketball karma and put out good vibes will find you as well?
I believe in the present moment is that optimism and that idea that, yes, approaching everything the right way and with the right intentions. I think for us it's about having no agendas. It's just about how can we win and turn our season around. We've had some tough breaks. We've had a tough break to our family. Just been a wild year all the way around. But the present moment is, can you galvanize the right energy to go win one game? I'm sure there's plenty of teams over the course of NBA history that felt like karma was coming to them and it didn't. Some did. It's just how sports are in general. But the approach is what he's mentioning and talking about, and I think you have to control what you can control, and I think we're in a good position there. However it ends up, it won't be because of a lack of effort if we don't get it done.
And you guys are very familiar with each other, your team and the Kings, but how different is this matchup given the personnel that maybe wasn't involved earlier and now is for both teams? How different is it?
We'll see. I think it's weird because we haven't played them in a long time. We had a lot of matchups earlier in the year. I know they're without Malik and Herter, so they have some other guys that haven't been a part of their rotation. We had some guys that stepped up, like Trace and BP, guys that really weren't part of the rotation the last time we played them. So there's some unknowns on both sides, but the known is the core guys who were in that series last year. We play each other 4 times a year. We know each other pretty well. Coaching staffs know each other really well. So adds another dynamic to it, but it should be fun. Fun competition tomorrow.
Sounds like a teammate of yours inched past you for the free throw championship.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if they rewrite the rules on what, I don't know what 125 free throws, what that qualification is, but he got it done.
How much friendly? I remember 2 years ago when you and Jordan were vying for that. There was some friendly banter. I think you texted him before the last game in New Orleans and reminded him he couldn't miss. Was there any friendly banter with you and Clay, or did it sort of sneak up on you because he hadn't reached the threshold?
I had no clue till Raymond told me today. I knew I was up there percentage-wise pretty much all year. I think Dane was up there too. But I had no clue. Clay was ineligible until last game, and he made all 5, so shout out to him.
Did he say anything to you today?
He had no clue either. So he said, "Oh, that's cool."
That's all you
And that was a whole conversation right there. He didn't even realize he gets a little maybe a plaque or trophy or something. I presented Jordan with his when he got it. I guess Clay missed that whole ceremony because he had no idea that there's a trophy acknowledgement for the stat leader right there. So the trophy was a surprise to him.
Any solace that he kept it on your team at least?
No, I hate losing. Absolutely not. But I guess I'm extremely proud of my teammate. Yes.
I was just talking to Wiggs, and he was saying that you guys have been in his ear, and it may be a factor. He said he appreciates that, and it lets him know that how you guys feel about him. How important is it that you guys stay on him about just doing what he can do, what you know he can do, and sometimes hasn't been able to do?
That message is for everybody. It's just a little louder when it's a guy like Wiggs who has performed at the highest of levels and helped us tremendously win a championship. Like, he's fully capable, and what he has to do is not easy. I think that's something people miss just in terms of he usually has the assignment to guard the best perimeter guy. We want him to be aggressive offensively as well and create shot attempts, create a good offense, be aggressive attacking the rim, take shots that he knows he's supposed to take. And what he has to do, it requires energy, it requires a physicality and a consistency. So, but he's fully capable, and so that is it's like that parent-child relationship where you not to say he's a child, but to say you only ask somebody to do what you know they're capable of doing, and that's our energy towards Wiggs all the time. And I think he understands how important he is to us reaching our full potential as a team, and you've seen that over the last month or so. He's answered the bell, so that helps.
And for you, how different is the pre-playoff or pre-postseason prep for you at 36 than it was at 26 mentally? More, I mean, when you're young, sometimes you look at it a certain way, but as you've been through all these wars over the years, how different is you as you approach the playoffs? If it is at all?
It's a little bit just more of a comfort zone of understanding what that environment is like. I think when you're 26, you're just real antsy and anxious, and you're kind of living off of that kind of just youthful, energy that kind of carries you through, even if mentally you don't quite, understand how to execute at that level. You can kind of get by. I think for me, it's like locking in just on the strategy that we're trying to implement on the game plan, understanding what I need to do to get my body ready. But I think this last 2 weeks has kind of been just patience, just understanding that like I said, this year's been all up and down, and the playoffs are the most fun time of the year, and we just want an opportunity. And even sitting here right now, 24 hours from the game, I feel very comfortable and ready for the moment. So that just comes with all the reps that you've had over the years.
You talked about the defense turning the corner. How do you view where your defense is now and why it's turned the corner? Obviously, Trace entering the starting lineup's changed a lot of the geometry.
You could look at Draymond, Trace, and Wiggs. I think those three guys especially being available and finding a chemistry, shoring up that front line. I think our rotation has been a little bit more predictable over the course of the last month. That's helped us, from game to game, found a rhythm. And then it's just a commitment to that end of the floor. Every night, one effort, second effort, third effort, being able to rebound, all the details that aren't really fun to talk about, but when you see it and you show it, it's amazing to watch. I think our defense in the last 30 games or so. I think was top 7 or something like that. So that's no accident. And it's helped us turn our season around. So can we sustain it for Tuesday, Friday, and this weekend?
Steph, a couple of years ago in the play-in, you had 39, 37, but those stats don't count towards regular season, playoffs. Just kind of want to know your thoughts on that, what the NBA should do about that.
What the NBA should do about it? It sounds like I might be like the leading play-in scoring. I don't know if that's a stat. I really don't care because hopefully you're not in a play-in that often where it becomes something that you're aware of. I hate the fact that there's a history of performances there. So it's our job to try to stay out of that each year. But that's the hand we're dealt. So just kind of a weird kink in the system, I think, a little bit.
And then with BP and Trace, what's the luxury of having 2 rookies that at least feel ready for the moment like this?
It just gives us depth. I mean, they've gotten better each and every game throughout the season. They've made their presence felt. They're in the rotation for a reason. Trace is starting for a reason. Like, they give us so much on either end of the floor. The playoffs are a different atmosphere, and like you said, you're glad that they got enough reps that you can throw them in there tomorrow. They understand what they need to do. The cool part is the playoffs. You don't really have to do anything different than what you've been doing. It's just don't get overwhelmed by the moment, by the environment. Just play basketball, have fun. I remember my first playoff experience, and you know that going in, but that first 6 minutes, first quarter, it's a rush because it's a different feeling, different vibe. So if they get through that, they'll be fine.
Earlier in the season, when things weren't going so well for this team, there was talk, at least on the outside, can they keep this together? Is this thing still going? Obviously, it's been much more successful second half of the season. Do you think this team has proven enough that no matter what happens, next week or so, you're keeping it together, or do you think there are still some things that you need to prove this team needs to show in order to make sure that things are sustained in the next season?
Not really concerned about this next season conversation. I think it'd be pretty obvious it'd be a disappointment if we're not in a playoff series and have an opportunity to compete at that level. You can make up whatever narrative that would bring up, but right now I think it would rob the opportunity we have this week and hopefully going into a playoff series to give ourselves a chance. And I think it's important that we stay in that mentality. Don't worry about anything else.
It was certainly seen from the outside. Game 7 last year was kind of like justifying this group. I mean, I think even some of your management might have said it afterwards. Do you remember thinking about that or were you just thinking about that moment, or were you thinking some big picture too?
No, I think it was more. I mean, that you can't avoid those conversations because they've been hovering over us since 2019, and obviously winning that championship helped a lot and proved that we're still capable. I think we're still in that element, but I mean, when you're out there on the floor and as a player, performing at that level and understanding what's expected of yourself and your team, like that, the environment brings the best out of you just because you're trying to win basketball games. There's no real other implications that you carry, out there on the floor. When it's all said and done, those thoughts definitely come in because as a human being, you're worried about what's next. But as athletes, when we're out here, we don't get to this level about worrying about anything other than the moment. So I think we've been pretty good at that and got to do it again.